أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is our third concept among key concepts that we have been studying in Quran. Last week we started discussing Taqwa, God consciousness, and for that we studied the first few verses from Surah Baqarah, as Quran was mentioned as a book upon which there's no doubt, and its guidance for the muttaqeen, and then there was description of muttaqeen. And Quran was describing people of taqwa as those who receive or who attain success. So we talked about this last time. So today I would like to start, there's another set of verses which I skipped since we talked about description of taqwa. There's another one of description of taqwa here. But since we talked about it a little bit, let's get to ways of attaining taqwa. So, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, you would remember verses that conclude by لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, which means so that you attain taqwa. And since we have one new person, maybe, were you here last week? No? On Zoom. Okay, so you were not on Zoom or anywhere. So maybe a very short reminder about what we mean by taqwa in this case. So briefly, in a metaphor, the way we talked about it is like a student is in the classroom, but let's assume the student is just there because they have to take this class. But other than that, they're so much focused on getting a degree. But they don't really are not convinced about why am I a student, or what does being a student mean in the first place. Like learning is not the biggest objective. For such a person, even if you bring the best professor in the class, the student would be very, time to time, especially if the laptop is open there, they will get lost after 5 minutes and whatever. So they wouldn't pay attention. So the most important thing, or one of the most important thing, is officially having a student ID doesn't make you a student. So you need to be in the mindset of a student, like be conscious of what am I, who am I on here, and what's my goal, what's my purpose. This is one side of it. The other side of it is, even if you are conscious of what you are, why you are here, then are you aware of who the teacher is, like how capable the teacher is? If the teacher is, for example, is just like an imposter, would you pay attention to that person? You know that the person doesn't know anything, just there to say something to save the day. But if you are aware that the teacher is a Nobel laureate, then your attention is changing quite a bit. And you're paying, now that you're aware of who you are, you're aware of your needs for the lecture content. And now you know that the teacher is so much aware of the topic, so much aware of your needs, and delivering input according to you. With this consciousness, you will pay extra attention on what's going on, and you will benefit accordingly. So taqwa is having these two consciousness together, knowing who you are and who your creator is and why you're here. And Quran is a guidance to those who have taqwa. Even if it was the best teacher, the best lecture notes, best assignments and whatnot, if the student doesn't have this mindset of consciousness, how much can it help to that student? This is why Quran starts by saying, this is a book, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, upon which there is no room for doubt. Like, I am so certain about what I'm teaching, the Creator is saying, but it is guidance for God conscious. Like, this will only help the conscious type of student. It's not going to help the other type of student. So Quran becomes a guidance for those who are conscious of what they are up to. Otherwise, today, 2 students also came to my office and we were talking about this. So there's a book, it's a book of treasure, but unless you realize your need for treasure, and also you know how to read a treasure map and consciously put effort to it, just holding the treasure book or treasure map doesn't make you rich. So you need to open the book, understand, oh, it says that such and such place is a treasure. Still, you have to go there, dig it, find the treasure, then you become rich. So it becomes a guidance to you if you're aware of what you are, what you're up to, and take the measures to receive guidance from it. Otherwise, it will simply be a burden. And Quran talks about burden as well, right? When it refers to imari yahmilu asfara, like the donkeys, which carries with the loads of books. Generally, it's taken as it refers to Bani Israel, but Quran talks to us, and if I behave like Bani Israel, then Quran talks to me as well. So do I take it simply as a burden? Like, those donkeys carry books, but they don't benefit from that book. So carrying a book, it might be in my head, it might, like, I might memorize it, I might dedicate my life for lecturing about Quran, but do I benefit from it? Am I just being like a carrier of it, or the one who benefits from it? So this is where now Taqwa is coming into the picture. So today, inshallah, let's talk about those verses which conclude by saying, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Since Taqwa is so crucial then, and Quran is going to become a guidance to me, if I have Taqwa, then how do I attain this consciousness? Because it sometimes happens that people enroll to college just because everybody was enrolling to college. And teacher comes and says, be a proper student. And then the person says, okay, somehow I ended up in this classroom. How do I become a proper student then? So can you teach me how to be a proper student? So let's go from these verses, Surah Baqarah. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. O those who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was for those before you, so that you become God conscious. So, interestingly, fasting is now being described as a means to attain taqwa. How come? What do you think? How come fasting makes you attain taqwa? What's the relationship between the two? And when Quran mentions such a thing, it shouldn't be like, you can stand up in this corner of the room on your one leg for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to give you $50. Like, between $50 and standing up in the corner of the room doesn't have any relationship. Like, they are totally arbitrary. Giving $50 and why I asking to do is totally arbitrary. But when Quran mentions such a thing, since my teacher, my creator, is suggesting, wouldn't you ask there must be some relationship between the two? Just take it in a way that you're taking a class and professor gives you the first assignment of the term. If the assignment is totally arbitrary, what would you say? What am I going to do with this assignment? So is it fulfilling any of the goals in this class, or is it just some arbitrary assignment which is therefore making me busy? It shouldn't. If the teacher is a proper teacher, you would expect the assignment to be relatable. So how is fasting related to attaining taqwa? Any ideas? Mr. Zareen is always the hardworking student sitting at the very front row. Please go ahead.
I guess I think there are a lot of things we tend to take for granted. So when I think of fasting, food is one of those things where if I feel hungry, there's something in my fridge or there's some restaurant I can just get food from. And I feel that when I eat the food, then I feel full and everything's great. So I guess maybe fasting provides a way to kind of break the connection I'm forming between like eating food and being sustained, because it's not actually the food that is providing me, it's the one who's giving me the food. So I suppose fasting could be a way to see that I may be surrounded by all these things that I may even unconsciously think that, oh, this food is taking care of me. Once I eat it, I'm going to be satiated. Fasting at specific times tells me that no, you're under a command, and perhaps is a way to be aware of that command.
Yeah, very beautiful. So in a sense, we take many things for granted, and which makes us get into an illusion about ourselves, and also where we are. Like, am I in a classroom or am I in a party? Like for a student, let's go back to our example. If the student is in an environment where everybody is playing with games and whatever, so even during the lecture, the teacher is saying something in there, but when you look at from behind, everybody's screen is open and they are all in different websites and whatnot. So, and student feels in this environment, feels like, oh, it looks like this is the norm, and it's okay to like do shopping during lecture time. And it's the proper thing to do. Like, who is the teacher? Why should I listen to the teacher? It's just a guy speaking in there. So in such a moment, since this becomes the norm, I need to recalibrate myself. Likewise, in life, I eat, I drink, and even sometimes, like for example, if I have, I don't know, my phone, like it's my phone, it's not Beer Khan's phone, I can break it. You cannot come and say, why are you breaking? Like, it's mine. I didn't damage anybody else. It's mine, I say. Or I have a bottle of water. I just throw it away. I say, it's mine. So at best, I would say, oh, it is our planet's next generation and whatnot. So what makes me realize that actually it is given to me? It's not mine, but it's given to me. So fasting is such a reminder to teach me who am I and who am I not. Because if I have this sense of I earn money and this is my money and I can do whatever I want with it. Even sometimes we say it is my halal money, and like I can use it as I wish unless I do this and that. But even in this, sometimes I am missing the point that it is being gifted to me, since it is not even gifted, but it is entrusted to me. I can use it as much as the one who trusted it to me allows me to do so. So intellectually, you can understand that. But fasting is like, it's not becoming non-obligatory once you attain this understanding, this mental understanding. Still, after this discussion, you say, oh yeah, it makes sense. But when Ramadan comes, still all of you will be fasting. So it looks like human is more complicated than simply intellect. Do I give in to or submit to this conclusion with my feelings as well? So taqwa is not necessarily an intellectual statement or intellectual state. Attaining taqwa is going to be a state that happens with other aspects of human. So what does it mean to being intellectually convinced about something versus more? Like, what do you think? How come fasting is, what does fasting do more other than your intellectual conviction about, I'm not the owner of food, I'm not the owner of life, I'm not the owner of anything? What else is being convinced in you? what other sort of convictions do you attain by fasting? Or does it happen sometimes that you are intellectually convinced about something, yet you don't act by it? Like, do people in here do sports, like going to gym and whatnot? Like, Mariam and I are convinced that we should, but we don't.
You don't fight at home? It's considered.
No fight. So, like both, we have back pain, and it's reducing our quality of sleep and our posture when we are sitting and whatnot. Yet, and we are like bothered by it as well. Because when you wake up, it's hurting. I wake up multiple times at night and try just changing my location, position in the bed so that my back is hurting a little in a different type. Yet I don't go to gym or I don't do any sports. Why? And I'm 100% convinced I should, at least intellectually. So human is way more complicated. It's my laziness in this case kicking in. My laziness says, oh, but you know what? It's so there are other, human is not one-dimensional. So fasting, mandatory fasting is there so that something starts to get understood when you are truly hungry. Like, would you ever be truly hungry, both to food and water, without eating 15 hours if you were to be left to your own self? Like, you would say, well, I guess at 12 hours, it's okay. I got the point. Let me, I don't need to torture myself. Let me go and grab something. But no, 15 hours until the sunset. There are certain things which you really get to understand when things start getting more serious. So my laziness, my ego doesn't want to let it go at some point. So sometimes, like using Arabic Quranic terminology, my nafs, my evil commanding soul, doesn't want to give in. Yes, my heart says okay, my mind says okay, but there's another side of me which always says, let's go the wrong way. This side of mine needs to get educated, and it doesn't understand the proper languages that some other faculties understand from. So fasting is such a thing. So it looks like taqwa has multiple levels. We can talk about taqwa of heart, taqwa of qalb. Actually, we will see a few verses in the next slide, I believe. It's going to talk about taqwa al-qulub, the taqwa, consciousness of qalb, your heart. But you will need consciousness of your mind, consciousness of your soul. So one such example is then fasting. The goal of fasting is to attain taqwa. And to put a small anecdote in there, what is Ramadan called? It is the month of fasting or the month of biryani. So it's the month of Quran. So Ramadan is generally, when Ramadan comes, what does Khatib say in Jummah? Oh, the month of Quran is coming. So Ramadan, and actually this is 183, I think it's verse number 185, talks about Shahru Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran. Ramadan is the month in which Quran is revealed. Fasting is to attain taqwa, so that with taqwa, Quran becomes guidance for you. So Ramadan is a time to benefit from Quran, but how do you benefit from Quran if you don't have taqwa? So in a sense, fasting is there so that I become ready to get into the mood of receiving guidance from Quran. That's why Ramadan is the month of Quran, not month of fasting. fasting is the tool. The outcome is guidance that we receive from Quran. Yes.
What is الذين من قبلكم doing there in both of them? Like, why it's mentioning those who came before you or those who are before?
Yes. What do you think? What is the benefit of this emphasis on this assignment? I'm not coming up with this assignment this term. I have been giving this assignment for the past 5 years that I have been teaching data structures class. Like if a professor comes and in the first term, like the intro class says, like actually this is what I did last term. I was experimenting with a new component in class. I said, it's experimental. This term, I'm trying it for the first time. We'll see if it works, if it doesn't work. Since it was experimental, I just made it 10% of the grade. Because if it explodes, then students wouldn't give me like bad reviews. It worked well. This term, I said, oh, it worked well. I did it last term. This term, the grades contribution is going to be 15%. Since it's like students gave good feedback, it seems like it's working. So now imagine I'm saying that this is how I have been conducting this class for the past 20 years. And it passed the test of time. So fasting was ordained to you and to those before you so that you attain taqwa. This is tested and confirmed by generations of people. This is how you attain taqwa. Is it Nibras? Okay, mashallah. Nibras can happen to be in 2 places at the same time, online and in person, mashallah.
So you said it's to emphasize that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, so people before you did this, it is, tested and it works. What do you think? What's your take?
I don't know, like it makes sense, but it's not something I can verify this way.
So, yeah, go
I
ahead.
thought about it in a different way. I think too is like if you were to think about like home group or like other ones from the stories in the Quran who had prophets and who were also told about fasting or about believing in Allah and they did not listen and then we hear about the consequences that happen. So I don't want to take it in a way where it's like that there is a punishment for not doing this and that because we know Allah is merciful. But at the same time, I think that's what my mind went to when we talked about with the Dina and some of them did not listen. This was the consequences, but we are now putting it upon you once again. That makes sense.
That makes sense. In general, the way we are trying to take Quran in those discussions are even the prophetic stories. So it is a guidance for me, first and foremost, in all aspects. And since belief in scripture is part of my shahada, like I bear witness that this is speech of God, right? And bearing witness requires me really witnessing something. Like there must be a witnessing aspect of it. So when Quran mentions about previous people receiving this message, sometimes I'm not able to verify it because I don't have historical information and whatnot. Like those are the old people that came and that went. So how do I bear witness to this verse then? Because when we say آمنت بالله وملائكته وكتبه. So I believe in the scriptures. But which scripture? We say, the scripture that Ibrahim received. Okay. But which scripture did Ibrahim receive? So I don't have access to that scripture. Fast forward, even when it comes to Quran, when I say I believe in Quran, what do I mean by when I say I believe in Quran, right? So this is speech of God. But if, like before Nibras coming to here, if Sister Zareen was to say that, I received a text message from Nibras. This is message of Nibras. How can I confirm that it is message of Nibras? I can say in goodwill, since you're wife of Nibras, probably you're telling the truth. But what if not? Because bearing witness means I should be able to testify to it. I cannot simply take it lightly. Like if I say, I bear witness that Nibras killed Bir Khan, now things are getting a little serious, right? So if he didn't, then I would be lying. So witnessing really means I have evidence for it. So this is Brother Bir Khan was highlighting that point. So how do I bear witness to that aspect of it? And how do I benefit from that message? Yes, I can take it as stories and get some benefit from it. That's possible. But within the specific twist, if we give this specific twist, how do I bear witness to that? So I would like to take it one step before. You can say that, I can say that. Like I receive, and I am in need of receiving guidance, people of Salih must have the same need, and as much as my need is satisfied with Quran, their need must have been satisfied with another scripture of the same nature. I don't know what it was about, or I can guess what it was about, but I don't know the specific verses, yet I am sure such a revelation must exist. To that level, even without seeing the scripture, I can bear witness to that. Based on what? Based on my needs. Like here and now, I am in need of guidance, like questions here or questions in my heart. And I say that whomever put this need would give me the answer as well, isn't it? Just like you have a stomach, which is empty and there's need for food, and you observe that the food is being given, like in the trees and the animals. So whomever creates this empty stomach creates the food to fill it in. The same one is also the one who creates the emptiness in this mind and in this heart. I would expect him to fill these up as well. And he does. Revelation, awesome. So I bear witness that I have it. How about the people before me? Same need would be there, so they would be given the same answer as well. So I can bear witness to the fact that they are given those answers, some answers of some sort. So I bear witness that Kitab, like revelation before me, must have come to those people. Specifics of it, I don't know. I haven't seen those messages. Now, when it comes to Quran, though, saying that I believe in entirety of Quran is a little bit of an exaggeration. Can I bear witness to it? I can only say this to the extent that I put effort to witnessing it. Like, did you try to put effort to witness this verse that we are reading, for example? This is what we are trying to do right now. How can I witness the truthfulness of this message? One way to do it is, fasting is ordained to me. Let me try to start from there again, now putting it into context. Fasting is ordained to me so that I attain taqwa. Can I bear witness to this? As Sister Zareen put, yes, I can. Because I realize that fasting makes me cognizant of who I am and who I am not. Because I thought I was the owner of the food. Or like my child thinks that I am his provider, sustainer. But during fasting, my child realizes that my father is also suffering hunger. If he was the sustainer, he himself wouldn't suffer hunger. So it looks like whomever supports my dad is supporting me. So this part of the verse is clear. I can bear witness to this, really. Fasting is a very useful, very efficient tool for attaining taqwa, practically speaking. Now comes the other side of it. When the Creator says, I ordained this fasting to people before you, how can I bear witness to that? Can we use the same logic? Saying that as He ordained this tool for attaining me a proper way, a very useful tool to attain this consciousness, I would say that if the previous people were people like me, yep, He must have given them similar duties with which they will become cognizant of their Creator. I can then bear witness to this, saying that it perfectly makes sense to me. It must have worked for others as well. Any comments? Other comments, questions? And the second verse is similar. In this case, it's يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. So, O mankind, worship your Lord who has created you and those before you so that you become God conscious. So worshiping the Creator is for attaining taqwa. So this is a more general term than fasting. Fasting is one of many ways to worship. What's the point of worshiping? One can ask. It looks like the point of worshiping is so that you become conscious, you attain taqwa. Because taqwa is the thing that keeps me in shape, if you like, in this journey of life. Any comments, questions before we pass to the next verse?
Sometimes it feels like one would have to have some sort of consciousness in order to worship. And so it's like a circle. So you worship to become conscious, but you have to be conscious in order to worship. So how can we attain that?
Very good question.
And you can read the ayah in both ways, right? You can read it as اعبدوا ربكم الذين خلقكم لعلكم تتقون. So He created you so that you become conscious. Your creation is the, let's say, you were created so that you become conscious. So by observing your creation, you become conscious. And when you are conscious, you worship. The kind of saying that for mankind, you can only worship those or to that like whoever is created you and give you this consciousness of Himself through His creation.
So if I go with my analogy of the student who somehow ended up in the classroom and doesn't have the taqwa, doesn't have the proper student mindset, but somehow feels awkward and says, the teacher says, be a proper student. Says, okay, I would like to be a proper student, but how do I be a proper student? And then the teacher says, or like in our case, close your laptop and pay attention. Yes, a proper student would close laptop and pay attention. Like it will come organically. But now the teacher says, if you would like to start being a proper student, let me tell you where to start from. put your focus here, and you will start picking things up. Like close your laptop, start taking handwritten notes, and listen to me. So Ubudu in this case is like a command, worship your Lord. What does this mean? Oh, am I an abd? I should ask that question. If somebody commands me that worship your Lord or be a slave of your Lord, I used to think that I was just a regular human being. What do you mean, me being a slave? Like slavery is bad, I thought. Saying no, actually. This is something that I started questioning now. Because what do you mean that I am a slave? I am an abd. Because you're created. And those before you were also created. Don't you pay attention? Oh, I thought I happen to exist. No, you do not happen to exist. You are not a result of, I don't know, cell divisions, which just happens by itself, apparently. Like this is the way we look at things, right? I say, they ask, how the children are doing. Generally, our answer is, they are growing, which has the connotation of they grow by themselves. How else can I look at it? They are being grown up, or they are being grown by my creator. Sometimes I force myself to use this language. Like they are being grown by my creator. The two are different, right? When I say they grow, it feels like as if it's a natural consequence of cell splitting because their cells are still fresh and there's not much mutation as the cells split and whatever. That's why they're growing. And then number of growth is less than number of decay. So that's why. Worshipping can happen to the extent that I realize my createdness. My createdness puts me into the position of, or makes me realize that I am the recipient. That's what a slave means. You don't own anything. You are a recipient, nothing more than that. Getting into this mindset. Once I get into this mindset, it increases my taqwa. My taqwa increases my worship, that's right. But it has a starting point. So that's why the teacher says, close laptop and pay attention to here. And pointing to my createdness is a good way to convince me that I am really an abd. So he's giving me the note. He's not saying that, Ya yuhanna su'budu la'allakum tattaqun. Didn't say that. Very beautifully, Quran is giving me justification to why shall I make a ubudiyya? Why shall I worship? Why shall I be a slave? Well, because you're created. Any comments, questions before we go to the next verse? There's something in Brother Birkan, but it's still brewing. Okay. Okay. So this is another case of taqwa, and taqwa al-qulub is mentioned in here. It's from Surah Al-Hajj, which talks about sacrificial animals. And there are many symbols in Hajj. This part is specifically talking about those symbols with an emphasis on sacrificial animals. ذلك ومن يعظم شعائر الله فإنها من تقوى القلوب. Such is his state, and whoever holds in honor the symbols of Allah, such should come truly from taqwa of heart. Like sacrificing animals is somehow related to taqwa of the heart. Killing an animal. Interest. This is verse 32, same chapter, verse 37. لن ينال الله لحومها ولا دماؤها ولكن يناله التقوى منكم. Neither their flesh reaches Allah nor their blood. It is your taqwa that reaches Him. كذلك سخرها لكم لتكبروا الله على ما هداكم وبشر المحسنين. He has subjected these animals that you may magnify Allah for the guidance He has bestowed upon you. Give glad tidings to those who do good. So, sacrificing animals in specific, but also in general, symbols of Allah. And Hajj is full of symbols. And apparently this has something to do with Taqwa Allah, like esteeming these symbols is coming from Taqwa al-Qulub, Taqwa al-Qulub, the Taqwa of the qalb, the consciousness of qalb. What does this mean? What's the relationship there? Respecting those symbols is coming from Taqwa of the heart, and I am commanded to respect those symbols. And not neither the blood nor the meat, flesh of animals reach God, but your taqwa from you reaches God. How does taqwa reach God? What does this mean? Yes. Waiting for your inputs. Yes,
It might be like a very weak
that's good.
analogy, like, sometimes when, like certain objects that we have around the house or that are, for example, like, we say, like, sentimental value is attached to a certain trinket or attached to an object. It's not the object or, the necklace or the bracelet or whatever that we care about, it's the value that it holds in the heart. There's, somebody who's very important to you gives you something and that is like meaningless, but you don't see it with your eyes, you see it with your heart. So I feel like, I think that's symbolism in general is something that we don't see like with our eyes, we see it with our heart. So that's what made me think about it. Obviously the analogy is very weak because, with Allah, like, we said cliche, but I feel like this is maybe where the heart is attached to the meaning behind a symbol or what the symbol represents rather than that itself, right?
Yeah. So yeah, this applies to any symbol, right? So you can take a ring just being a piece of metal. You can also say that, no, this is signifying a knot between two people, like it's the sign of an agreement. So it's not simply a piece of metal. So there is meaning loaded to it. And animals that we sacrifice. It's not that the blood is going anywhere. It's nothing specific about the blood or the meat or whatever, but it is with interacting with this symbol. What do I gain out of this? So seeing it as a symbol. So what are the symbols? Like in Hajj, there are many symbols. Making tawaf around this empty house, which we call as Baytullah, house of God. Like God is not contained anywhere, not inside a house, but there's a thing called Baytullah, and we rotate around it 7 times. We go in between two mountain-like things like Sa'i. We go to Arafat, we just stand there, don't do anything. We just don't do anything, simply it's pausing, waqafa. So we pause there, we stop there, and we throw stones to another stone wall, like stoning Satan. We collect pebbles from Mash'ar al-Haram. So many symbols are happening in there, which, like, Hajj is such a training to say that all these have meanings which should remind you many things. Like all these symbols of Hajj carry so many meanings. We should be able to extrapolate that. Like the experience with Hajj should train us in terms of what is the symbolism of me having a son, me having a daughter? Like that relationship, is it a thing of itself? Is it just like, it's family? Or when I say it is family, it means like when I say this is a metal, I am talking about the thing itself. Because if you talk about this, referring to itself, it's just a metal. But it becomes an engagement ring when it refers to something beyond itself, when it's referring to Maryam and me. Like relative to the ring itself, it's not an engagement ring, it's meaningless. It becomes an engagement ring when you talk about Maryam and Yusuf into the picture. By itself, it doesn't have that value. When I say I have a daughter, biological, like as family and whatnot, I'm just talking about the thing themselves. What does having a daughter mean relative to the maker of the daughter? Having a daughter is also a symbol. Getting married is a symbol of something in my life about my creator. Like what is taqwa al-qulub, the consciousness of heart, when it comes to, now that after this conversation, we understand what it means that being conscious of sacrificing an animal. It has something to do, get to know your creator. Otherwise, it's not about shedding blood. It's about getting to know the giver of life, who is my creator. How about getting married? What is the symbol? Because nikah is also something to be elevated. But when does nikah become elevated? If I see nikah as like two people, both of whom are entrusted with privacy, and now the owner of both of them says that I make each other halal to you both. Without my permission, you cannot come together. With my permission, only you can come together. This is one nikah. Now I'm reading nikah as a symbol of my creator. This is why nikah can be only made before the creator, not before the mayor. Like mayor does not have the authority to make two people married, because mayor is not the owner of either one of us. Only the one who owns me and her can make us halal to each other. So this is the taqwa al-qulub when it comes to, or one of the taqwa al-qulub when it comes to nikah, for instance. This applies to everything in this existence then. Everything is a symbol of my maker, of its maker, its creator to me. It signifies a message. If I look at it with taqwa, with this consciousness. Otherwise, I will take everything as just the ring being metal. I will take a fruit just like a fruit. I can take the same fruit as, like, think about a mango. You can take mango as a delicious fruit. You eat it and it's gone. Like 3 minutes later, the taste is gone, everything is gone, right? But if you take this mango as a gift of the one who creates sun, who cooked this mango for you over this kitchen of a tree, just for you, and gives it to you, then this mango really becomes so precious of a gift from the creator of heaven and the earth. The king of the whole existence gifted you this mango. Like it is a sign of mercy, grace of your Lord then. So it becomes a symbol. But this is something that we can learn from Hajj, for instance. Sha'air in there, everything's a sha'air in this regard. But this becomes visible to taqwa of heart. If I don't have taqwa of heart, I wouldn't see it. Comments, questions?
When such ayahs are associated with something, let's say practical, like Hajj, or sacrificing an animal, or fasting, as related before. These are some, let's say, perfect examples of applications of design, right? it also does not stop there. Meaning when ayah talks about the sha'ir of Allah, it's any symbol of Allah, or we can also take the sha'ir as ishar, like a point. Anything that points to Allah, anything that reminds Allah. The ayah is also talk about that. When we take them together, as if it's saying that those who, like when you take anything in this creation, there is a flesh, blood, and bone of this creation, the form, for instance. There is the flesh and bone of this form, which is this glass, metal, transistors, whatever it's the flesh and bone. But when I'm stuck with this flesh and bone, it will not take me to my creator. Right? It does not reach to Allah, the ayah says. The flesh does not reach, or blood does not reach. But only the thing but there's also another aspect of this form which points to its maker. Right? Look at this form. So if I just stuck with the glass, there's no way I will say that it is from Samsung. It's a glass. Right? You can get glass from everywhere, like this is also. And it's not made by Samsung. Or all the transistor, everything. When I take it that way, there's no way I can take it. It takes me to its maker. But there's an aspect of it, which is all the qualities I see here: the engineering, the design, the wisdom, right? The way the ergonomics is for me, a human being, which means that whoever made it, let's assume they're not doing it for profit, for money, they are also merciful. They think about me, my needs, right? All this thing is manifested there. So all these aspects will then take me to its maker. But I will find these aspects, I will see these aspects only when I is muttaqin, as we discussed last week. I look at the form and I say there is something beyond this form. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, as we studied last week. When I look at with this mindset, it will take me to its maker. And ayah says that this is what makes you muttaqin, from those with taqwa, the consciousness. So don't get lost with the flesh and blood of it, but see all these qualities.
So then can we say that when I'm taking my biology class, I study cells, and studying cells, how they divide, how the genes are working and whatnot. So it's neither the bases in the genetic sequence or none of these, but with my consciousness, God consciousness, with my taqwa, when I look at how these are happening, then I would say, like, how does this happen? Does it, because I do see a lot of conscious choices being made throughout here, like they are subjected, like animals are subjected to us in the verse, like sakharaha lakum, so they are subjected to you, animals are subjected to you. Also, it looks like mitochondria is subjected to how the energy is being, like there is a purposeful choice being made at every moment. I cannot attribute this to just randomly happening. I cannot simply say it happens. This is the language we use in science classes. We say it splits, the cell splits. today with the students we had in office, I was giving them, like, the student pushed back a little bit, and I gave them an example of, you came to your car, before coming to my office, you park your car, it was nice. You go back and you find that the window is broken, and somebody has written on your car, like with a knife, go back to your home, like home country, and then even written your name on your car. And you call the police, and the police says, it happens. Like, there's not an explanation. There's a purposeful choice being made. Somebody, it was not like this before, now it is. And purposefully, somebody knowing me, hating me, must have done it. When it comes to cell, what is this? Like those bases? So the basis itself doesn't go anywhere, but the meaning that I read from these bases, once I put them together with my consciousness, they all point to the one who is maintaining them, who made them subjected to a person, to a purpose, which is they're going to come together, but they mean something. Because, like, the words, as we talk sometimes about it, it says no chaos in here. Like NOCHAOS. Like, these are simple letters. They don't mean anything. They are just some marks over the wood. But if I look at them with the consciousness of it represents a meaning because it has an author, then it starts being a language. Otherwise, they're simply marks over wood. So cell, mitochondria, I don't know, bases and whatnot, don't go to creator. But when I look at them with consciousness, they go to the creator. They take me to my maker.
And the next ayah says, all these are given to you so that you glorify, you realize, let's put that way, you realize that Allah is bigger than whatever you the claim you observe there. Meaning, like, if you look at the cell division and you say that, oh, okay, it happens this and that way, and I explained everything. But as Ayah says, no, there's something bigger there. This division is also connected to everything else in the body. So whatever knowledge you observe there, it's bigger than just a splitting of a cell. You say, okay, it's a combined knowledge of my body, etc., which is coded in the DNA. Ayah says, no, there's something bigger there. Don't you see your body also embedded in this creation? It communicates with the sun, etc. So there's something bigger there every time. So you have to say that whatever I observe is given to me to realize that there is something bigger than what I claim. And so that I will reach to this bigger thing.
And this is something that we take for granted, like animals being subjugated to us, or sea being subjugated to us. Like, you can use the sea to carry all the like heavy ships are being carried on water. Quran gives this as an example, right? You can use ship to carry very heavy burdens across the globe, or air is given to you, subjected to you. You can make use of air to get on the air and go from one place to another. I am allowed to be using them. Like, imagine if, as a US citizen, without a visa, you try to use Russian land, what would happen? Like, that land is not subjected to you. They would say, what are you doing here? Get out of our country. That land is not subjected to you. Or if I go and try to wear Nebraska's clothes, they would say, this is my clothes. What are you doing? It's mine. I am able to use everything in this existence. They are subjected to me. So there's a purpose. Intentionally, I am allowed to be using them. What does this mean? Oh, remember me. The owner, the maker says, remember me. They should be pointing you to me, rather than taking it for granted and saying that, oh, it is mine. Since nobody claims it, it's mine. This is the attitude that I'm taking. The maker is saying that, no, I made it so that you can benefit from it. Remember me. So inshallah, I'll pause here because next week we have the cloth of taqwa and provision of taqwa. Libasu taqwa and zadu taqwa. Inshallah, next week. What does it mean? Taqwa as a food and taqwa as a garments. Inshallah, we'll talk about this next week. Any closing remarks? If none, let's conclude here. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.